Hi, it's Adam Cox. I'm a Harley Street hypnotherapist based in London and also known as the Phobia Guru, the UK's leading expert when it comes to curing people of their phobias very, very quickly. Cynophobia or cynophobia is known as the fear of dogs. Now, this is one of the most popular animal phobias, beaten only by fear of spiders or fear of snakes. So it's essentially the third most popular fear of animals. The reason for this is that dogs are very prevalent. There are two main ways that people would acquire the fear of dogs. The first is that they would learn it from a family member, such as a mother, father, perhaps aunt or uncle, someone that they were around growing up. This is a very popular way that people acquire fears. And it may seem strange that people would acquire a fear from people around them, but a lot of these fears that we have are acquired from people around us without us having to experience that thing. You know, if we are around adults as a child and we get a sense of danger from our parents when they're close to the edge of a high place, such as the edge of a building or a cliff, for example, that is a very useful fear for us to have. So acquiring these learned fears from a family member, very, very useful most of the time. Unfortunately not when it's an animal phobia, for example. The second way is what's called a sensitizing event. Now, many people when they are young as children may have an interaction with a dog. Now, most dogs are completely calm, completely passive. They might be excitable, but in many cases, those people that go on to have a fear of dogs may have had a reaction where a dog is being aggressive. Now, that might be a bite, a bark, it might be a dog jumping up at them, but essentially something negative around dogs that happened when they were young. I worked with a gentleman who had a very severe fear of dogs, and his sensitizing event was that when he was about 5 or 6 years old, his neighbor had a very big dog, and he was in their garden up near the fence, and the dog jumped up at the fence and started barking at them. Now, when he was 5 or 6 years old, the dog would have been effectively twice of his size, barking very loudly close to his ears. Now, that's the kind of reaction as you, as an adult, if suddenly a dog twice your size, out of nowhere, started barking very, very loudly and aggressively close to you, you would have a fear reaction, and that would be completely rational. The way that phobias work, though, is that once you have this kind of sensitizing event, it then becomes generalized so that any stimulus can create a similar kind of reaction, and this is designed to help humans survive against predators and threats. It's a survival instinct. The problem is that most dogs are completely harmless, and most dogs are friendly. So therefore, it's not a useful or appropriate fear to have in later life. Symptoms can range from discomfort to severe anxiety and even panic attacks. It's not unusual for someone that has a fear of dogs to certainly avoid places where dogs are going to be, such as parks or certain places where dogs are going to be. They will avoid houses where they know the owner has a dog, for example. They will make excuses. If they see a dog or are close to a dog, they tend to have physiological reactions such as a raised heart rate, rapid breathing. Essentially, it's the sympathetic nervous system kicking in almost like a fight or flight response. So they might feel very cold, muscles tensing, severe breathing, feeling like they can't breathe because they're just rapidly breathing. So all these things can take place as a reaction to the stimulus of a dog. For those people that have really severe forms of a fear of dogs, just the thought about going to a place where there might be dogs is enough to create anxiety. There was one client that I was working with, and she would avoid certain routes because there would be dogs along that route, or the possibility of dogs along that route, or a feeling that if there was a dog on that route, she couldn't easily escape. Okay, so there is a huge detrimental impact on people's lives because it may be that it's seeing a dog, it might be thinking about a dog, It might be hearing a dog barking off in the distance can create severe anxiety and panic. Okay? The good news is that it's not essential or useful to have this fear for the rest of your life. You know, if you have a fear of dogs, or if you know someone with a fear of dogs, the good news is that you can eliminate that fear very, very quickly. And I've worked with many clients that have had not just, phobias, but severe phobias of dogs, and they've eliminated those fears in just 1 or 2 sessions. Okay, there are a number of ways in which people work with me, but if you're looking at this and want to learn more about your fear or how phobias work and why you have them, I actually have created a free 1-hour video on what phobias are, why they exist, and how to eliminate them. And you can get that video absolutely free just by going to phobiaguru.com. There are a number of ways that people work with me to eliminate their fear of dogs. The first way is that they will work with me directly in my clinic in the world famous Harley Street in central London. So that's one way. If you're not based in London or in fact in the UK, that's not that practical. Occasionally, about twice a year, I will do workshops on those people with a fear of dogs. And in just 4 hours, people arrive with a severe fear of dogs and then they leave no longer having that fear. You know, it can happen in just 4 hours. For those people that might be based in different parts of the world, I work with people via Skype using high quality video and professional microphones. So it's almost as good as if I'm actually in there with them in a clinical practice, but they might be all around the world. And I've worked with people in Canada, in Dubai, in Australia, in Southern California. I've worked with so many people all across the world. So it's not essential that someone is based in the UK in order to work with me. It helps if you've got a good level of English, because I use techniques that involve language patterns to break the chain between the stimulus and the anxiety reaction. The third way that people work with me is that they can download a 7-day phobia elimination course. That means that they can actually, at their own pace, acquire all the information. So you might have a fear of dogs, but by listening to certain audio downloads, which involve clinical hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming techniques and cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, all these different techniques, you can download that, and you can download the videos as well. And that can eliminate the fear in just 7 days. But first and foremost, if you're interested in learning more about your phobia and how to eliminate it, go to phobiaguru.com and download a free video. All I need is your name and email address, and you'll get that video completely free. And that's phobiaguru.com.